Raider Nation, what is going on? It is the Raider D podcast back at you with another live stream. We're going to be getting into this article here that I want to show you guys. This is pretty interesting. It's basically showing how Mark Davis is definitely not okay with what is going on. And this could be a sign that Antonio Pierce will not be here next year, because certainly there's going to be some head coaching positions that are going to open up next year. So let's jump into this here. Antonio Pierce on future as head coach with the Raiders amid 2-win season says, I'm under contract. Now, he said this the other day during his coach's presser. I believe that was on Monday. After 10 straight losses for Las Vegas has its head coach fielding uncomfortable questions. The day following Monday night's 15-9 home loss to Atlanta, Antonio Pierce was asked if he thinks he'll be returning to the Raiders next season. He says, I'm under contract. So I think that to me, that kind of rubs it the wrong way. I think that he needs to be a little bit more humility with this, because I think he feels that his tenure with the Raiders is secure due to the fact that Mark Davis is currently paying two other head coaches not to coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, i.e. John Gruden and Josh McDaniels. So maybe he feels like he's got Mark Davis between a rock and a hard place. He can't fire him because he's under contract. So now he'll literally be paying three head coaches not to coach for him and then have to go out and hire another guy, which is going to cost some money. Now, would this actually stop Mark Davis from firing him? No. Mark Davis is a multi-billionaire. The few million a year that he's paying, it's nothing to Mark Davis. I mean, that's a weekend trip to Cabo for Mark Davis. So I don't think that he should feel so cocky as to being under contract that's going to save him. The article goes on to say Pierce's first full season in Las Vegas hasn't been ideal, and Monday night's loss exemplified what has been a season-long struggle. With recent quotes from Raiders owner Mark Davis not exactly breathing confidence into Pierce's tenure, Pierce was faced with tough questions from the media. So this quote here is from Mark Davis. It says, I'm very disappointed, obviously, Davis said last week to The Athletic. I want to see progress. There's no excuses. We have injuries and all of those things, but your team has to figure out how to get around those issues. If there's going to be a finger pointed, it should be at me because, again, I'm the one who's hiring the people to make the decisions on the field. At this point, obviously, we're not happy, but you have to go through the season and then we'll reevaluate. So there you have it, Raider Nation. It's pretty cut and dry that, Mark Davis not happy. And obviously he shouldn't be happy with the product that we have put out on the field so far. So get your comments in so far. Let me know. I want to know. Let's do a little vote here on the live stream in the comment section. Do you believe that Antonio Pierce will be head coach next year? If you do, type AP down in the comments. If you think he's gone, then type gone down in the comments and let me know how you guys feel about Antonio Pierce. Do you think he'll be here or not? Got a few of the guys showing up. Billy and Bass, what is going on? Tyler in the house, how you doing? Spooky, what's going on? Tyler says Mike Vrabel season, baby. Well, I know Mike Vrabel's name has been thrown around a lot, right? He was able to take the Tennessee Titans to the conference championship 2 years in a row, or at least a couple of times. But man, I don't know that Mike Vrabel is that much of an upgrade over Antonio Pierce, because Mike Vrabel he's not a play caller. He was a linebacker, just like Antonio Pierce. He's a motivator. He's a team guy. And there's no question of motivation from this team. Those guys are going out there. You don't see a whole lot of quit in this team. Now, I know there's some argument that some players are kind of feeling like maybe they're not playing their hardest right now. Max Crosby going on IR to get his ankle taken care of. He's been playing with a high ankle sprain since week 2. That's not quitting him. That's just like he's finally just got to deal with that, or it could end his career. Right? He could just make it worse and worse. So I don't know that Mike Vrabel solves the problem, because the problem then becomes you still need an offensive coordinator. And listen, guys, you're going to need a defensive coordinator, because Patrick Graham, he's gone after this year. With the absolute disaster that this team has been this year, the defense has still played fairly good with all the crazy injuries. Not having Max Crosby out there this last week, not having Christian Wilkins that you paid $100+ million to. So Patrick Graham, he's going to take off. He's going to get a head coaching job, most likely somewhere else. Now, the Raiders could hire Patrick Graham, which now you have a play calling, defensive minded head coach who actually calls the plays, but has a lot more experience at the NFL level of doing that than Antonio Pierce does. And so there's that option. And then obviously there's the option of the Ben Johnson, who's, he's the superstar offensive coordinator right now. And every team, there's about 8 teams who are going to be, calling his agent, requesting an interview. He's the hot item. Can the Raiders go out and actually get him? That's a big question. There's the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. But he's gonna be a hot item, not nearly as hot as obviously Ben Johnson, but he's gonna be a hot item as well. There's the Kubiak. Coach Kubiak could be a guy that you go after. Again, another young, innovative style head coach that you would want. Also calling plays. Shirley says, get Vrabel is good for the Raiders. The Raiders need someone to ride their ass to win. Okay. Like I said, but again, if you go with Mike Vrabel, who I think he's had success, there's a couple of knocks on him. One, he's not, even though he's a defensive guy, he's not a play caller. So you need to make sure that you have a really good defensive coordinator. You need to make sure that you have a really good offensive coordinator. Because listen, Bill Belichick was a defensive guy. He called the defense for the Patriots, though. And so defensive head coaches can absolutely win Super Bowls. Bill Belichick's living proof of that. You don't have to be an offensive guru to do it. He just always had good offensive coordinators to run the offense and the quarterbacks. But he also had Tom Brady. So there's that. So I don't know. I don't know, man. To me, it's interesting. Mike Vrabel is interesting. I'm not going to count him out. I think he's obviously got an edge, being that Tom Brady is now a minority owner of the Raiders, and they were former teammates and they're friends. But I think that if you're going to have the number 1 or number 2 overall draft pick, which we most likely will, unless we mess around and win a game or two, you're going to end up with Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. And you need to make sure that you have a legitimate head coach that is going to run the operation and make sure that your new franchise quarterback has somebody coaching him up all the way. Cuban Raider, what is going on? Good evening, sir. David King Raider in the house. What's going on? It is so much fun being a Raiders fan and looking forward to the draft every year instead of the playoffs. I feel you, brother. I feel you. Cuban Raider says, I'd rather take AP over Mike. Okay. Again, because I think they're essentially the same coach, except for the fact that Vrabel has actual coaching experience at the NFL level as a head coach, and he had some success with it. Cuban, what's up, man? Raider D, do you believe we can still draft a top 2 QB with 3 wins? No. I mean, it's possible. I'm not going to say no. It is possible to do so. I mean, as it stands right now, according to tankathon.com, the Raiders have the number 1 pick. However, you have to look at like New England, for example, right? If we win a game and New England and Jacksonville, let's say we beat Jacksonville, Jacksonville's strength of schedule is weaker than ours. And so they automatically jump ahead of us. And so does New England. And so does Carolina, provided that all 3 of those teams lose their games. Right? Hell, even Cleveland and Tennessee. So if we win 1 game and New England, Jacksonville, Carolina, Tennessee, and Cleveland all lose out, we're sitting at the number 7 pick, guys. We're at number 7 as it stands right now of the strength of schedule, because the strength of schedule is how you go about determining a tiebreaker. Now, if the strength of schedule is the same, then there's a whole system of things that they go through to determine that. Well, let's look here at tankathon.com to answer your question. Here's the Raiders sitting at 2-12. Our strength of schedule is 0.538, right? Which barely edges us up over the New York Giants, who are sitting at 0.55 strength of schedule, the SOS. But the only reason why we have the number 1 pick right now is because we're 2-12. If we were 3-11, we'd be sitting all the way back here at pick number 7. So I don't think it's possible. I said it the other day in a video that, I want to see the Raiders beat the Saints, and maybe it's possible we still end up with the 1 or 2. But then when I was looking at it later on that evening, it's not possible, because there's too many teams ahead of us who are terrible, and they're going to lose the rest of their games. I don't see Carolina winning another game. I don't see Tennessee winning another game. I don't see Cleveland winning another game. And I don't see the Giants winning another game. Now, New England probably could win another game. That's very possible. They're not trying to tank anyway. They don't need to tank. They've got Drake May. They've got their franchise quarterback. They need to build him up. So they're trying to win games. But the other teams, they're just as bad or worse than us. They just got unlucky and won a game. Caesar, new QB and new manager and new team. Well, you know what? The sad thing is the Raiders have a lot of potential, guys. We really do have a lot of potential with this team, with the players that are on here. But I'm gonna give one excuse to Antonio Pierce. I have never seen the Raiders have this many injuries to our star players ever in well over, 30 plus years now of watching the Raiders. I've never seen this many injuries at all. And so I don't think any head coach could, get us to the playoffs with the amount of injuries that we've had. Now, at the same time, I also blame Antonio Pierce because Gardner Minshew was a bridge quarterback. Everybody knew that. That's why you only give him a 2-year deal and you're not paying him marquee money. So why would you start a bridge quarterback over Aiden O'Connell? Neither one of them shined in the preseason. Neither one of them said, hey, I'm the guy. I get that. However, with that being said, Aiden O'Connell, what he was able to do last year was pretty impressive. You got to admit, he was fairly impressive. He wasn't blowing the lights out, but what he was able to accomplish said, okay, let's see what this kid's got. He should have been the starter from week one. It shouldn't have even been a question. Gardner Minshew is a backup quarterback. You don't bring a bridge backup quarterback and make him the starter over your second year guy that you had just drafted and he won you the job as head coach. You just don't do that. So that's a knock on Antonio Pierce. And I hold him accountable for that. That was just a stupid decision. Tony says that's what he gets for having a big ass mouth. I always knew he was just a high school coach. Talk about I'm going to own the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, right. Maybe he's his next life. Well, I you know what? I tell you what, he beat him on Christmas last year, and we almost beat him in the second game of this year. We were darn close. If it's not for his making a stupid call of trying to run another play to shave 4 seconds off of the clock, you just kick the field goal, you win the game. We win that game. We beat the Chiefs. And I mean, you had Patrick Mahomes on the sideline biting his lip, ready to cry again. The Raiders were about to make him cry again on national TV. But, you know, the call was the call. It is what it is. I'm going to go to the most positive person in the room, G. Werub. What is going on? Like I told Raider D, Raiders are getting ready to lose both QBs in this draft. I see the pattern. Giants are all over Shador, and Cam will be Titans or Browns. The NFL does not want us having a top QB. Here's my retort to that, G. Werub. And this is why I think we got really close to winning that game in Atlanta, right? Those 2 Hail Mary passes could have ended up in a touchdown. We win that game. And yes, we don't have a quarterback. Desmond Ridder is now our best chance at having a franchise quarterback if that's the case. But I don't know that Desmond Ridder is that guy either. So you've got to go up and you got to get Cam Ward or Shador Sanders. Now, it could just be because here's the thing I noticed in every single one of these pressers, especially the past couple of weeks. Antonio Pierce has a grin on his face. He knows something that the rest of us don't know. And who knows what type of conversations have been made between Mark Davis and Antonio Pierce. We don't know. It could be that Mark Davis, who we know is very high on Shador Sanders and his dad Dion, after it became apparent we're not going to make the playoffs by like week 7, right? We're done. Our season's over already. Maybe they have a heart-to-heart, and Mark Davis tells him, I want Shador Sanders. You get me Shador Sanders, you tank this season, you make sure we don't win another single game so that we can draft our franchise quarterback and I won't fire you. Who knows? That's a very real possibility. Because for a guy who is clearly on the hot seat of losing his job only 1 year after getting it, Antonio Pierce doesn't seem to be all that annoyed. He doesn't appear to be all that afraid. And no matter what, like he said, he's under contract. He's getting paid either way. His money is guaranteed money. Mr. BR says, Robert Saleh, DC. I would like that. I am a fan of Robert Saleh. And I think he deserves another shot. Not head coach. I don't think head coach, no. But I think defensive coordinator, I would buy that for $1. I like it. Good suggestion, Mr. BR. Garrett, and another good suggestion, Garrett Riley, OC. It's a possibility. Jake Long says there is other QB prospects. There are, but none in the first round. I mean, to be honest with you, my opinion is I'm higher on Cam Ward for his pure athleticism, ability to play off schedule. He is, to me, Caleb Williams-esque, right? He's the home run, the big guy, the big play guy. And what he's been able to do from being a 0-star recruit. And then, how in the world Miami got snubbed for the playoff, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't understand. And in a recent interview, Cam Ward was asked about that, and he said, well, they left out the best quarterback and the best offense in college football, so I guess they don't want excitement. I guess they didn't want an exciting playoff. How do you leave out the best quarterback and the best offense in all of college football out of the college playoff? That makes no sense. That's the kind of swagger that I want to see from a quarterback. He believes in himself, despite the fact that he was a 0-star recruit, that he was snubbed. His dad was making phone calls left, right, and center to get him into a college, and they wouldn't even return his call. And now look at him. Arguably the best quarterback in college football today. Now, is he better than Jaden Daniels? I don't think so, no. Like I said last year, Jaden Daniels is a unicorn. He's going to be a superstar. Is he better than Caleb Williams? I think so. I think that he is better because I do believe that he makes better decisions and he handles big game losses and wins better than Caleb Williams. I think he's just got a better head on his shoulders. So I would, you basically are getting a Caleb Williams style player, a home run, big play, put the team on his shoulders and go down there and win that big game. Nothing's too big for this kid, but he has a better mental state than Caleb Williams. I'll take that all day. I will take that all day long. The thing about Cam Ward is the dude's got an absolute ridiculous arm talent and strength. Shedeur Sanders, he's very good too. My question mark with Shedeur is the same that I had with Caleb Williams last year, which is he thinks he's so great. He thinks he's the greatest. But when you actually look at him, he's better than average at quarterback in college, but I don't know that you're going to see Shedeur Sanders be a superstar in the NFL. I do know you'll get an accurate on-platform passer with Shedeur Sanders. And everybody says he's not athletic. That's BS. Shedeur Sanders is very athletic. And all the people who are saying Shedeur Sanders is not athletic, I dare them to go race him in a 40-yard dash and tell me who wins. Right? So I do believe that he is athletic. He can get out of the pocket. He can escape. And he had, not that great of an offensive line the past couple of years. And he was still able to do some really cool stuff. So would I be mad at Shedeur Sanders coming to the Raiders? Absolutely not. I'd be okay with that all day long. Raider Night, what is going on? Salute, Raider Nation. I know we're all feeling down, man, but you know what? The salutes are always going to be there. It's always going to be Raider Nation. You know what I'm saying? Frank Hernandez says, adios. Frank, where are you going, man? Miguel, what's going on? We have Tom Brady that going to help in the department. I mean, it remains to be seen, but we'll see, right? And guys, just a heads up, man. If you guys want to get these hats, you want to get your official Raiders gear, man, hit the shopping cart down below right now because we have hooked up with Fanatics, man. You can get all their gear right off of this YouTube live right now. Just click onto the shopping cart and go get your gear. Hats, jerseys, sweaters, all kinds of stuff. Go and get it in the shopping cart. I think right now everything's like 20% off. They got a big deal going on. Obviously, it's the holidays, so you got a lot of good shopping going on. So go and get your stuff. We do get a commission off of that, so it goes to help grow the channel, and it's much, much appreciated. 100%. JT, what's going on with the super chat? Thanks so much. Salute, brother. I appreciate your support as always. D take best player at number 1 and Milrow later. Listen, I was really getting intrigued about Jalen Milrow, and I made a video about it. I did a live about it. But then they played Georgia, and I was like, ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know. He had no answer for Georgia's defense. None. And maybe it was the play calling or whatever, but I think that I think the way that they're playing him in Alabama this year, they've gotten back to just turning him into a running back quarterback. And I think that's a disservice to him. If you get Jalen Milrow in the second round, you have to be prepared that he's not going to be a day one starter. He's not ready for the NFL. Georgia exposed him as to why. He's a fantastic athlete, but Georgia exposed him. And that would be a big concern for mine right now is you take him and he could very easily be an Anthony Richardson 2.0. Now, again, you're taking, you're going with the number 1 overall pick to the best player on the board, who's probably going to be Travis Hunter, Teterio McMillan, one of those two guys, wide receiver. Obviously, Hunter can play corner as well. So, I mean, it's an interesting take, but I think that if you're going to do that, if you are not going to go quarterback in the first round this year, I think that Raider Nation would light the stadium on fire. I just don't think that would pan out well if we don't take a quarterback in the first round. Juware, why is it so hard for Raiders to do something smart? I heard Tom Brady likes the backup midget Dylan Gabriel, who has a weak arm and a dink and dunker. That's their excuse right there. We're dead. Listen, G-Ware, my man, you really think that Tom Brady would convince the GM, Tom Telesco, to draft Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward? First of all, he has a very special relationship with Shedeur Sanders. He's been coaching him for a couple years, right? They've spent a lot of time together. They talk all the time, text all the time. Very good friends with his dad, Dion. It's almost a lock. Just like Chicago with Caleb Williams last year was a lock. Everybody knew they weren't drafting anybody else. It was only Caleb Williams. It's going to be Shedeur Sanders if the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick. Now, I personally don't agree with that, but I'm disagreeing with a guy with 7 Super Bowl rings as a quarterback. So if Tom Brady seems to think that Shedeur Sanders is better than Cam Ward, and that's who we draft, who am I to say no to that? I just look at Cam Ward's big play ability, his off-platform ability, and his improvement on platform this season with Miami, and it's pretty impressive what that kid has done. Tim Steve 2009. Kuntz and Wilkins got hurt. Max has help or needs help. Well, Max is hurt now too. Max is IR. He's done for the season. You know, another thing that really sucks again, because we talked about the injury issues that this team has been absolutely abysmal. The worst I've seen in 30 years of watching the Raiders is Sincere McCormick is now on IR. He's done for the season. This poor kid has been through hell trying to get on this roster. He finally gets his opportunity to show what he can do, and he lit it up. And now he's hurt, and he's done for the season. I really feel bad for Sincere McCormick. I really do. it's just such a terrible year for the Raiders. Like we have just been plagued with injuries, unlike anything I've ever seen. Raider Knight, Shador and Cam will be gone by the time we pick because O'Connell will win the Jags and or the Saints. It is possible that the Raiders end up beating the Jags, but here's the thing with the Jags. I think the Jags are actually better now and have a better chance of beating us without Trevor Lawrence. I've been saying it. Trevor Lawrence is the most overhyped, overpaid quarterback in the NFL. So him not playing, I think Daniel Jones beats us. Now, the question is with the Saints, I don't know, is Derek Carr going to be back or what is going on with him? Because I don't keep track of the Saints, but I just know that they had Rattler in there last week. So do we even know what's up with that? Jason Downs, what's going on? Devin Neal in the third, stud running back. Well, we do have 2 third-round picks, so that is very interesting. Raphael says, Sincere is too little for the pros, hence why he is now on IR. I don't think his size has anything to do with it. I mean, he's a prototypical running back size-wise. Let me look up his size. I mean, let me see. How big is Sincere? Oh, they took him off because he's on IR. They took him off the active roster. That's interesting. Okay, let me look him up over here. Let's see. Sincere. I think he's like 220, right? Let's go to his stats. He's 5'9", 205. Oh, he is not 220. He just looks bigger. I was down there at practice, and I mean, to me, he looks a lot bigger, I guess, but we're actually the same height. But we're definitely not the same build. That dude's pretty yoked. But 5'9" is not too small. Maybe his weight, but still, I mean, injuries just happen. I mean, Max Crosby's huge and he's gotten injured. Christian Wilkins is huge. He got injured. I mean, really, size doesn't make that big of a difference when it comes to injuries, especially with running backs. Running backs tend to just get hurt. But it just sucks because this kid was really showing out. He was really showing out that he deserves a chance on this roster. And then, boom, that's it. Injured, done. Rest of the season. Zapley says Joe Brady as head coach. Okay, offensive mind. I think he'd be pretty serviceable. I wouldn't mind that. Again, obviously my top one is going to be Ben Johnson. I think if the Raiders are going to if we're going to turn things around in a single season like Houston did, like Washington did, we've got to have the head coach that's going to be able to implement success right away. He's going to be able to take a system and he's going to be able to bring it to the Raiders and implement that. And right now, the Detroit Lions are the hottest offense in the NFL. They're the hottest team in the NFL. They're probably going to win the Super Bowl. In fact, I hope they win the Super Bowl. I pray Detroit wins the Super Bowl. You know why? Because that means KC's not winning the damn thing. And that also means that Ben Johnson is now a Super Bowl champion offensive coordinator. That's even more encouragement for him to go take a head coach job and not stay with Detroit. Because sometimes if you get right there with your team and you miss out, you don't win the big game. Sometimes these coordinators are like, you know what? I'm going to stay one more year. I'm going to ride it out one more year. And I don't want that to happen. I want him to hit the market, and I want Tom Brady personally to show up to his house and say, come work for me. 7-time Super Bowl champion, come work for me. Not Mark Davis. Don't send Mark Davis. Don't even let Mark Davis get on the phone with him. You send Tom Brady. You send all the glitz and the glamour of Tom Brady to go recruit Ben Johnson to be the head coach of the Raiders. And then you draft, in my opinion, Cam Ward. And you let Ben Johnson really take this kid to the next level. And next thing you know, we're there. Miguel says, I say hire Vrabel or Brian Flores. Why do you like either one of them? I know Vrabel has, as a head coach, he has some experience and he's, playoffs and all that. But listen, there's a knock on Vrabel too. There's a reason why he's not a head coach right now. There is a very big reason. It's the same thing. Remember, this is a Patriot dude. It's the same problem that Josh McDaniels had. The knock on Vrabel is he doesn't get along with people. So there's, not saying that it was his fault or the organization's fault, but that's just the knock on him. That's why he's not a head coach right now. Warner says, your number one isn't Dion? No. God, no. I mean, it would be interesting to see. I mean, how cool would it be if the Raiders did draft Shedeur Sanders and hire his dad as head coach? And then we won a Super Bowl with that tandem. That would definitely be storybook. That would definitely be something that would go down in history as one of the wildest rides ever. However, with that being said, let's remember, do you think the NFL and Roger Goodell and the White Willie ownership of the NFL teams want to see a Deion Sanders and his son win a Super Bowl? All that brass. I mean, they're hating on Antonio Pierce the second he was even named interim head coach because he's from Compton. You think now the brass balls of Deion Sanders at the NFL level, week in and week out. You think Roger Goodell would be happy about that? And the ownership of other teams would be happy about that? You think that the refs wouldn't be against us because they would try to run Deion out of the NFL because he's so brass? I would love it. If it resulted in Super Bowls, I'm all for it. But I got to think reality too is the NFL. I mean, you can believe it or not, but the NFL is still ran by some racist people. And this is why they hate the Raiders. This is why the NFL has always been against the Raiders, because our ownership in Al Davis originally was the first to break ties with all of that crap. He was the first to hire minority coaches, first to hire female president. He broke all the norms. And the NFL and the other owners have hated the Raiders ever since. So just remember, if you brought in a Deion Sanders and you brought in Shedeur, boy, those refs, you can't let the games even be within 7 points. Because I'm telling you, the refs are going to do what the refs are going to do. Under order and instruction straight from Roger Goodell. They would try to sabotage us every chance they got. John Pearson, what's going on? LOL. If it resulted in a Super Bowl, I'd hire you, Raider D. I tell you what, man. Back in the day, I was pretty nasty at Madden. I was pretty nasty with the controller. I don't play anymore. I got so much stuff going on. I don't have time. I actually got rid of my Xbox a long time ago. But I was pretty good. And so I think that I could, at the very least, if you give me a good quarterback, you give me a good offensive coordinator, you give me a good defensive coordinator, Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, healthy roster, Brock Bowers, and you give me a good quarterback, I think I could at least take the Raiders to wild card playoff. I don't know. I'm sure it's a lot harder than it looks, but I mean, Antonio Pierce ain't calling no plays, so I don't even have to call no plays. I just stand there. I got my headset on. I'm on the sideline. I'm just like, yo, what just happened? Should I call a timeout? Okay, thanks, Dave. Timeout. And you know what I mean? I'd make it look real good. I'd make it look like I knew what I was doing out there. But in all reality, no, I know being a head coach is far more complicated than that. And I could never imagine myself being in that position because I have absolutely no coaching experience, not even Pee-wee. I have zero coaching. I've just been a football fan, a Raiders fan my whole life. So it just is what it is. Larry says, shit, you better be able to do it in year one. Yeah, no, I'm saying I think if I had an all-star or if I had a Pro Bowl all-star, if I had a Pro Bowl quarterback and I got Brock Bowers, healthy Max, and healthy Christian, and Robert Spillane, and we go out and get T. Higgins in the free agency, I mean, how do you not make the playoffs with that roster as long as you got a good offensive coordinator? I think even with the Turners, father and son, and you kept Patrick Graham, I think I could still do that. I think I could still get us to the wild card with a healthy roster, and I don't have to do anything other than just stand on the sideline, pretty much what Antonio Pierce is doing all season. Just stand on the sideline, just, get to watch some football. And then go make a press conference, go to the locker room, give a motivational speech. I think I could do that. I don't know if it'd work, but I think I could do it. But see, here's the thing, though. This is why Antonio Pierce had the advantage over me. He was actually a player in the NFL. He won a Super Bowl, captain of his team, Pro Bowler, all that. So he had that credibility to earn the trust of the players. If I walked in there off of the street, straight off the Raider D podcast, and Mark Davis called me tomorrow and said, hey, I just fired Antonio Pierce, you're taking over. If I walked into that locker room, all those guys would be looking, and I've talked to some of them, so I know some of them, but I would look at, they would be like, Raider D, what the hell are you doing here? Well, I'm your new head coach. And they're like, oh no. I think I would lose the locker room right then and there. Even though some of them, I've had a couple of them here on the channel. I talked to a couple of them. Even if they like me, I don't think they would go out and play for me hard. Just because they know I would be an absolute fraud as a head coach. Raider Ryan, what is going on? He has been a member of the channel from the pretty much the beginning of us having memberships available. I think Raider Ryan was actually the second one next to D-4200, who was the first. What is good, my brother? How are you doing? Good to see you back on live, brother. Only 3 more miserable weeks of this season. Hopefully we get our top pick for our QB of the future. Raider Nation for life. I really like the camping videos too, Raider D. Thank you so much. I'm getting ready to go out and do another crazy survival video up in the Rocky Mountains tomorrow. I'm heading out in the morning to go do another one. There's a new type of shelter that I want to go out and build. So if you guys don't know about that, it is called Black Rain Official here on YouTube, and that is Rain Like a King. Black Rain Official here on YouTube. And guys, we're giving away a bag over on that channel worth over $1,000. It is an Everly stock switchblade bag. And then there's a bunch of goodies that we have stuffed in there from some sponsors of this channel as well as the other channel as well. So all you guys got to do, if you want to win that bag, which I have right here, actually. So this is the Everly stock switchblade bag. It is full of lots of good stuff. I actually have it upside down. But if you guys want to win this, it's real simple. Just go over to my other channel, Black Rain Official, and watch me try not to die up in the mountains all by myself. As I do crazy survival videos, I've been into the wilderness, bushcrafting and stuff like that for a long time. And so I take all of my skills and I'm challenging myself and trying not to die up in the mountains and record it for your guys' viewing pleasure. So Black Rain Official here on YouTube. That's my other channel. You can also find it. Actually, should have that linked here. Do I have that linked here? Let me see if I have that linked here. I'll put it in the description because I don't think I have it in the live video description. Nope, I don't want that. I want to go to here. I'm going to link one of my latest videos. So this one here is my latest video. Bam. All right, I just dropped the link in the description. You guys can go into the description, click on that link. It'll take you to my other channel, and you can watch my latest survival video where I spent the night up in the mountains and had to build an emergency shelter. As you know, you got to survive because I was caught in a blizzard. So pretty fun stuff. I like doing it, and it's kind of a new venture for me recording that. It's a lot of work actually to record those videos because I'm up there by myself. I don't have a cameraman, and I've got to set up the camera. I've got to set up the shots. I've got to find where my base camp's going to be, where I'm going to even survive for the night and all that. So it's not easy doing those videos. It's a lot harder doing those videos than these ones. That is for sure. So guys, love your support over there. The link is in the description to my other channel, so you can check that out. All right, so Battlestar, you want Dylan Gabriel? The dude's like 5'9". I mean, I know they're comparing him to Bo Nix, and Bo Nix is having some success now, but there's a difference between him and Bo Nix. Bo Nix is what, 6'3", 6'2"? And Dylan Gabriel is like 5'10", 5'9". Jason says, "Oh, geez, Madden GMs." Yeah, I was definitely a Madden GM, man. You know what I actually loved more about playing Madden was the off season of Madden. And maybe that's why my favorite part of the season of being on the Raider D podcast is actually the off season. I just get so much into really, breaking down these rookies and the free agents and trying to figure out what the Raiders are going to do and all that stuff. That was my favorite part of Madden, and it's definitely my favorite part of being a podcaster for the Raiders is what are we going to do in the offseason? And, that'll change, obviously, when the Raiders start actually winning games and we actually get to the playoffs. Then that'll be my favorite part. But because we can't ever seem to do that, I guess I'm like everybody else. I'm always looking forward to the offseason and how that's going to go. Miguel says he's 6'3", Bo Nix. Yeah. So there's a big difference between Dylan Gabriel and Bo Nix. Height. Just straight up height. And that my worry with the Dylan Gabriel, who's not even going to go in the first round. So if you were going to grab Dylan Gabriel, you're probably going to grab him in the second round. But that's not even going to look. Dylan Gabriel is not even an option. I know that rumor's out there now. It's not an option. I can almost guarantee you the Raiders do not draft Dylan Gabriel. Straight up. Jake says Riley Leonard from Notre Dame is a sleeper at QB. I don't want a sleeper though. That's the problem. Like we've gone through the sleeper quarterbacks too many times, right? We all said the same thing about Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a sleeper from Fresno State. We got us a diamond in the rough. I don't want any more diamonds in the rough. Those haven't panned out for us, to be straight up honest. Obviously, I'll break down all the quarterbacks that are going to be available. Curtis Rourke, I think he'll be decent in the NFL. That's one guy. I think Dylan Gabriel will be decent in the NFL. I just don't see Dylan Gabriel being a superstar in the NFL. And who knows if Cam Ward will either. Who knows if Shedeur will? You know, obviously Shedeur Sanders is going to be a superstar in the NFL because he's Shedeur Sanders. But will he be a winning Super Bowl? A Super Bowl winning superstar? That's the big question when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. Jake Long said Derek would have been okay with a decent coaching staff. Derek Carr would have been okay if he didn't break his leg. Let's just be 100% real about this. Derek Carr was having an MVP year and broke his leg. Derek Carr was never the same after that. I don't care who the coach was. I don't care what the defense was. Derek Carr was never able to fully recover from his PTSD of getting that leg broken. Now, he had a couple of little flashes here and there where he had good seasons, and we made the playoffs twice with him. Once where he obviously didn't get to play because of the broken leg, but after that, he made it one more time. Raider Ryan just gifted 5 memberships to the Raider D podcast. So 5 of you just became members. That is so awesome. Salute, Raider Ryan. Appreciate everything that you do for the channel. You are awesome, my man. Everybody give some love down in the comments to my boy Raider Ryan, who is just handling business for the Raider D podcast. Let's see. Mayberry says, Shedeur to Vegas, baby. It is very high likelihood that that's going to be the case. Raider Ryan says, facts 100% about Derek Carr. He definitely was never the same. That's when his happy feet started. And listen, Derek Carr was always a dink and dunk guy, but he started opening up in like 2019. He started opening up a little bit more. And then, you know, here comes McDumdum and put him back into a dink and dunk offense. But remember, in 2016, he was like one of the best at getting rid of the ball in like 2.3 seconds. That was his average. And then I don't know what happened, man. After that broken leg, Derek Carr he just had PTSD, man. He was just scared of getting sacked. He was scared of getting that. And that's a traumatic thing. When you break a leg, that makes you a little bit hesitant. I mean, I broke a collarbone and it affected me. I mean, obviously I was a kid, but it affected me even after it was healed for, you know, a good year. I didn't want to do anything to risk that again because that was a lot of pain. So I can understand that. Miguel, my question, should we bring back Patrick Graham next year? If he doesn't leave and become a head coach somewhere, yeah. The defense has not been the problem. I know that he's gotten a little grief because the defense has lost a couple of games. But listen, when you have the worst offense in the NFL, when you have the worst running game in the NFL, and your defense is playing 70% of the game, I don't care who you are as a defensive coordinator, you're not going to have that much success. And for him to have as much success as he's had with all of the injuries compounded, having his 2 big superstars off our defensive line now not playing, and still be able to put up a good, decent defense when your guys are out there playing 70% of the game, that's commendable. That is commendable. I think you keep Patrick Graham, If he doesn't get a head coaching job somewhere else, you definitely keep Patrick Graham. If you don't make him the head coach. Red Ryan says, just want to show my support to your channel when I can. Yes, man. I know you do, bro. I know you do, man. And you know what? It's like the Raiders, man. It's been a bumpy ride, right? Even with this channel, it's been a bumpy ride. We have our highs and we have our lows on this channel. Like I said the other day in my last video, and I've talked to other guys, Mitchell Rance and others, and everybody's views are down, right? Everybody's views are down. At one point, I was averaging 10,000 views a video. Now I'm lucky to get 2,000. And that makes it rough. And why am I only getting 2,000? Well, because nobody wants to talk about the Raiders because we suck. So who wants to spend time watching a YouTube video talking about the Raiders when we ain't going to the playoffs? There's nothing going to change from week to week. Now it's just basically we're at this point of now we're just hoping we lose out. Now we just really hope that we tank so that we can get the first overall draft pick and hopefully draft the quarterback of our future. That's all we got to look forward to. And that's why the views across the board with all the Raiders content creators is way down. I'm getting the same amount of views on this channel per video that I was getting when I had 2,000 subscribers. We're on our way to 11,000 subscribers. And I have right now we're having a hard time getting over 2,000 views on a video. It's the same content. I'm the same person, right? Same person that was getting 20,000 views and 30,000 views. Same person, same content, except we don't have, as a Raider Nation, we don't have a lot of hope right now. So obviously, understandably, a lot of people aren't wanting to watch. So when guys like you and all the rest of you who are here in the chat right now supporting this live stream, when you guys show up and you show that Raider Nation love, it means the world to me because you guys don't see it. But every morning when I wake up and I check my analytics on my latest videos and I see it doing this instead of this, that's depressing, man. That's depressing. And we all feel the same way, man. It's hard. Being a Raiders fan is hard right now. But that being said, I always have faith that cometh the new year, it's our year. Every single year. And I've been saying it, and I've been proven wrong year after year after year for decades now. But I still believe it the same. I believed it wholeheartedly when they announced Antonio Pierce as the head coach. I believed it when we went out and got Christian Wilkins in the free agency. And you know what? I believed it up to the draft. I thought the Raiders had a slim shot, but a shot nonetheless of getting Jaden Daniels. Didn't happen. But then we got Brock Bowers. And if you guys were with me on the live broadcast of the draft, I said it. Like my co-host on that was upset that we drafted Brock Bowers. I said it. You just drafted the best tight end to come out of college in probably the last 10 to 15 years. I know he's a tight end and we got Michael Mayer, but we didn't get a quarterback. So you got the best player on the board, and he absolutely was. This could be a blessing in disguise. And boy, was he a blessing in disguise. Despite the fact having 3 different quarterbacks throwing him the ball, he is the best tight end in the NFL as a rookie. He's broken like 10 records already. He is going to be named All-Pro, Pro Bowler this year. First rookie to do so in 20 years. Tight end rookie. So let's get us a good quarterback. And you got Brock Bowers, you got a healthy Christian Wilkins, you got a healthy Max Crosby. You bring back the key players like Spillane, Nate Hobbs. You got Jacorian Bennett going into year 3. He's been a lockdown corner. Get him healthy. Boy, I believe that the Raiders are going to have a good shot. Again, but who's the head coach? That's the big question. Raider Ryan said, that's sad. The views are down, brother. The diehards are still here for the support with my brothers and sisters during these trying times. We appreciate you. And I appreciate all of you guys too. I do. And I don't blame anybody for the views being down. Let me make that clear. I understand why they're down. Because everybody is down right now. Right? I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I didn't feel like jumping on live tonight. And you know what? It was actually Raider Ryan reached out to me and was like, bro, we miss you on live. That's why I'm on live right now. Raider Ryan, I am doing this live stream because of you. Because you reached out to me and was like, we miss you. That's the only reason why I jumped on live. Because I didn't feel like, I don't want to talk about negative stuff with the Raiders. That's just not fun. I wish that the Raiders were good right now. And we're talking about the playoffs and we're looking at the brackets like, okay, so we got the 5th seed. And if we're at the 5th seed at the end of the season, then we're going to be playing such and such team. Now let's look at such and such teams, offense and defense, and breaking all that down. That's what I want to be doing. And I know if that was the position that the Raiders were in, we'd probably have 700 people in this live stream right now. 1,000 people in this live stream right now. And on my videos, I'd be getting 30,000 plus views. Like I was at the beginning of the year. But that's sadly not the case. The Raiders are the worst team in the NFL right now. And so we just gotta bite through these last 3 weeks of the season and then look forward to free agency, which is going to be so much fun because we got a ton of money. What are we going to do with it? Who are we going to bring back? Who are we going to keep? Who are we going to go out and get to add value to this team? And then we got the draft. Now, if we have the number 1 overall draft pick, it's probably not going to be as exciting. I actually kind of hope we have the number 2 draft pick, not the number 1. I know with the number 1, you have more draft capital if you want to trade back and do this and work some deals and build up for the future, whatever. I get that part. But we also know Tom Telesco is not going to do that anyway. So the real fun for me would be that if we end up with the number 2 draft pick, because if we have the number 1, we know it's Shedeur. So now if we have the number 2 and the Giants are ahead of us, now the fun begins because now we got to try and figure out, we got to delve into the Giants and figure out who are they going to take. So that way we know. And so the excitement building up to the draft is going to be crazy, crazy fun for me as a podcaster to kind of digest and dissect and try and figure all that stuff out. So I'm kind of hoping we end up with the number 2 overall draft pick. However, it's impossible. We're either going to have the number 1 or we're going to have the number 4, 5, 6, or 7. If we lose out, we have the number 1. As far as it could change, the strength of schedule for the Giants could change depending on the last 3 weeks. And their strength of schedule could change. They could notch us up technically, but I doubt it. So if the Raiders lose throughout, we're going to have the number 1. If we win one game, we're out of quarterback the competition. Unless Mark Davis forces Tom Telesco to trade up to the number 2 spot. With, let's say, for example, let's say that let me put this back up. Add that to the stage. There we go. Okay, let's see if New England were in the number 2 spot and we dropped down to like the 5 spot and the Giants were in number 1 spot. New England's not going to draft a quarterback. Absolutely not. So you could make a deal with New England possibly to move up to that number 2 spot. and get your guy. So there's still that possibility. But now we got to give up a bunch of draft capital for next year and this year. And that's just, to me, it's not worth it. So I definitely want to see the Raiders get that number 1 overall spot. I would like to see the number 2 spot just because it would be more fun for me, but I don't see how that would be a reality. The only way that happens is if we lose throughout, the Giants lose throughout, and their strength of schedule changes depending on the competition that they're playing and how their seasons go, right? They could edge us out and get the number 1 spot. For me, that would be ideal. That would be the best way, because we're definitely getting our quarterback. I'm not mad if we get Shador. I'm not mad if we get Cam Ward. I think either one of them is going to be a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. It just depends on, will they be a superstar Patrick Mahomes magician? Will they be a Josh Allen? Will they be a Jaden Daniels type quarterback? That we don't know. But I do believe that either one of those guys are definitely, week 1, if necessary, starting caliber quarterbacks. Black Eye says AP deserves another year. Let him get a year with his own quarterback. I don't know that AP deserves another year. I think that he could get another year. I wouldn't say that he deserves it. And let me say why I disagree that he deserves it. He hasn't done anything to say that he deserved it. Right? If we went, I don't know, with 9-8 and missed the playoffs, I'd say he deserved another year. If he didn't make ridiculous decisions like putting Gardner Minshew as the starting quarterback from week 1, who is a bridge backup quarterback with no reason, rhyme or reason for him to be the starting quarterback of your team when you have Aiden O'Connell sitting there who got you the job, to me, that says you don't deserve this job. You haven't done anything to deserve it. You made a horrible decision. And then his mismanagement of timeouts, his mismanagement of player personnel, there's been a lot of mismanagement with him. It tells me that he doesn't deserve the job for another year. That being said, again, as I pointed out earlier in the live stream, if him and Mark Davis had a heart-to-heart by week 7 or 8, when we already knew our season's over, and he was like, you know what, I want Shador Sanders, tank the season, you got the job guaranteed for next year. If that's the case, then yeah, the real Antonio Pierce will show up next year. How good of a head coach and manager of a game is Antonio Pierce will show up next year, because we're seeing the fraudulent side of Antonio Pierce if the case is that they are intentionally tanking to get Shador Sanders. In which case, you can't really judge Antonio Pierce in the decisions he's made, because those decisions were actually genius to ensure that we lose these games so that we ensure that we get Shador Sanders. There's always that possibility, in which case, yeah, sure, he deserves another year at that point. Raider High, what's going on, man? Salute to you, brother. Graham will not be a head coach. He got a couple of things going against him, my man. What did you see in Ritter? He had players wide open and he runs into sacks like Minshew. P.S. I miss the morning podcast. You know what I saw with Ritter? Again, I seen the same thing that you did. Missing wide open guys down the field. I don't hold that against Ritter at this point. It's your first game in with a new team, new offensive coordinator, all that stuff. I didn't expect him to play phenomenal football. But I thought he played okay, and he showed a bit of the ability to get out of the pocket, run for first downs on designed run plays for quarterback. You definitely have that with him. If I were to judge Desmond Ritter, I would have to see him be the starter for the last 3 games of the season. Then I could really take a look at Ritter. But that Atlanta game, I mean, we could have won it. We could have won it. Two shots into the end zone at the end of the game. Receiver comes down with it. We win the game. And that game wasn't even all on him either. I mean, we had 2 block punts, a blocked extra point, a you know, taking the punt at the 3-yard line, which ended up in the safety, which wasn't his fault. It was the running back got caught. It was the offensive line. Atlanta's defense just did a great job. So I don't know. It's tough to judge him right now on his performance because it's a 1-game performance. I would need to see more. But I think that, you get thrown in, you're the starting quarterback on short notice. There's going to be a little bit of that tunnel vision, and that's what he had. He had some tunnel vision. So he definitely did not play his best. That was for sure. But I think it's not enough to make a decision on him. But we know that Aiden O'Connell he's slated to come back and play against Jacksonville. So we're not even going to get to see more of Desmond. But appreciate you as always, my brother. And I know, man, like I stopped doing the morning podcast because I don't know if it's just bad timing for everybody, but we just weren't getting anybody in there. The last time I did it, we had like 12 people in the podcast. Look at tonight. We have right now 129 people in here. So maybe this is just a better time. And you're in Hawaii, I believe. So I know that this is probably not ideal for you with your time zone, but for here in the lower 48, I think this is just a better time for the live stream for everybody here to be able to catch it. Let's see. How are we doing? Right there. So Jake says, seems like the Raiders love retreads, hint Norv Turner. Norv's not going to be here next year. I don't think Scott will either. Again, if we go out and we get a new offensive minded quarterback coach, they'll definitely bring their own offensive coordinator with them. User unknown says, I'm done listening to Raiders content. I feel you. I totally understand. A lot of people are feeling that way. But we got to keep the faith, man, that the Raiders are going to finally get it together at some point. Geomex, what's going on? If Graham leaves, Ron Rivera would be great addition to the coaching staff. Ron's another good one. And then, Robert Saleh. I would probably take Robert Saleh because of what happened to him with the Jets. That was such a stinky situation. Totally uncalled for the way they did him. He's a brilliant defensive coordinator, and his players just respect him. So I think bringing Robert Saleh in, if you went and hired Ben Johnson as the head coach and you could get Robert Saleh as your defensive coordinator, look out. Look out. What Robert Saleh could do with a Max Crosby, a Christian Wilkins, a healthy Malcolm Kuntz if we bring him back. Clavion Chason has been playing great. You keep him. Boy, we would have some defensive juggernauts out there. And then you let Ben Johnson take over as the head coach. He's also basically the play caller for the offense. We could have a pretty nasty team. Just turn it around that quick, that fast. G-Ware says, no great coach will come here to coach a second, third round quarterback. Sorry, not happening. And we stay mediocre and far down the fourth best team in our division for a long time. Yeah, listen, man, only God knows the future, man. But I tell you what, right now, the Raiders have absolutely no reason to win any of these 3 games. If the Raiders go and win any of these 3 games, I guarantee you Antonio Pierce loses his job. I guarantee you. Mark Davis will be so upset if he misses out on Shedeur Sanders, who I reported months ago from my insider source that Mark Davis was very high on Shedeur Sanders. He wants Shedeur on this team. Combine that with Tom Brady, who is now a minority owner of the team, having a very close personal connection to Shedeur. It's almost a lock that the Raiders will lose the next 3 games, have the number 1 overall draft pick, and draft Shedeur Sanders. Not as fun and exciting for me as a podcaster. If we're number 2, I got a lot more stuff to diagnose and dissect and talk about. But I would rather have the lock and let's just get a winning quarterback and go. Again, my personal favorite is Cam Ward. I think that he has a higher ceiling due to his athleticism and arm talent that he has and that big playability than Shedeur. Shedeur is a little bit more of your traditional pocket passing quarterback, but he is by no means a statue back there. He does take a lot of sacks. 2 years ago, he really cleaned that up this year. I think he got about half the amount of sacks this year. Carlos, what's going on? Sounds like Mark Davis is incompetent to me and needs help. Well, I mean, we've all been saying that for years. Nothing new there. Hi, hello. Dude, I totally dig your YouTube picture there. That is so cool. Did you hear they want Dillon Gabriel? Yes, I heard that. If we can't get Sanders. I did hear that about Dillon Gabriel. Again, you listen, Dillon Gabriel is a fantastic college quarterback. Fantastic. He's broken all kinds of records. No doubt about it, Dillon Gabriel is going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. Can he be a star with his limited physical ability and athleticism? That's my worry about Dillon Gabriel. Can he throw those 3-yard dink and dunk passes all day long, just like Bo Nix did at Oregon? Yes, he can. But Bo Nix, to show me up, because I said I didn't think Bo Nix was going to be a good quarterback in the NFL because his average pass was less than 6 yards throughout his college career at Oregon. And I didn't know that he would be able to translate into the NFL and take those deeper shots and deal with the pressure that he's going to get in the NFL. Well, he's proven me wrong. He's doing pretty darn good now. He started out rough, but he's doing pretty darn good now. Maybe Dillon Gabriel could do that. I would love Dillon Gabriel if he was 6 foot, even just 6'1". Give me a 6'1" Dillon Gabriel, and I'd be okay with it. But they got him listed at 5'11", which is a lie. That's a lie. I'm 6 foot tall. Okay? That's what I'll tell everybody. It ain't the truth. I am not 6 foot tall. If I'm wearing my boots, I'm 5'11". If I'm wearing my tennis shoes, I'm 5'10 and a half. If I'm barefoot, I'm like 5'8". You know what I'm saying? And I'm a nobody. Now imagine you're trying to get into the NFL. You mean to tell me that you're really 5'11" barefoot? No, you're not, Dillon Gabriel. At best, Dillon Gabriel is 5'10", which is very short for a quarterback in the NFL. On T6 Soldier says, Cam Ward, QB1 of the U. Salute to you for the $2 super chat. Thank you, brother, for the support of the channel. Guys, I agree. I think Cam Ward is going to be a fantastic quarterback in the NFL. I'm not as high on him as I was last year with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is just special. He is a unicorn. And if that kid has a long, healthy career, Jaden Daniels will win at least one Super Bowl, God willing. I believe that. He is just that good. He is that special. Cam Ward reminds me a lot of Cam Newton. All right. Very athletic guy. Can play off script like crazy. has just a rocket for an arm, and it's got big playability written all over him, and he has the same first name. So yeah, I think that Cam Ward, in my opinion, has a higher upside for that big playability than Shedeur does. Shedeur might have a better career though, as a more traditional pocket passer, a more accurate passer, a better seeing the field better. I think that day one, if you're going to start a quarterback on week one, I think Shedeur Sanders probably has the edge over Cam Ward, because Shedeur has proven that he just sees the field so much better, even though he's under a ton of pressure with that Colorado offensive line. But I think if you're talking about, by week 7 or 8, I think that's when Cam Ward starts to really shine, and just the game slows down enough for him to where he's able to pull off these miracle big time plays that he's done in Miami. He'll be able to do that in the NFL. But I think that the speed of the game in the NFL is a bit faster, and it might take him a little bit of time to get used to that. But once he gets used to it, I mean, that just watch out, man. Cam Ward's going to have a good career, in my opinion. Arnie, what's going on? If we win 2 more games with AOC, who would you draft top 10 pick with Sanders and Ward gone? Oh my gosh. Well, it depends. If Territoria McMillan is still available, you definitely take him. He's the best wide receiver in the draft. You take the linebacker / defensive end out of Penn, and Abdul Carter, if he's still available. He's a Micah Parsons 2.0. I've talked about him several times. There is one tackle. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. There's one tackle that's going to be a top 10 guy. Not super high on him, but I know he's going to go in the first round. That's a possibility. But if all else fails, listen, if you don't get McMillan, who would be my first pick, because we need a real X receiver. That depends if we didn't get T. Higgins in the free agency. Let's say we didn't get T. Higgins, you get McMillan. If you did get T. Higgins, you don't get McMillan. Then you go, we didn't get a quarterback. In my opinion, you take Ashton Genty if he's there. It would really come down to Abdul Carter and Ashton Genty. That's such a hard pick, but we need offensive help. We don't need defensive help. So Ashton Genty, that's who I would go with. If we did not end up with our quarterback, you got to take the best running back to come out of college in the past 20 years. The dude is a phenom. Now, can he translate that phenomenal big playability as a running back in the NFL and stay healthy? I don't know. So it is a big gamble taking Ashton Genty. If he has a 6-year career in the NFL and he's relatively healthy and he's putting up over 1,000 yards every year, that was a good pick. That was a good pick for the Raiders if you didn't get your quarterback. But if you don't get your quarterback in round 1, then yeah, you've got to go. I guess you got to go and get Dylan Gabriel or Rourke is another possibility. You got to go get somebody. You can't roll into next year with Aiden O'Connell and Desmond Ridder, and God forbid Minshew again. That's not a formula for success there. Unless in these last 3 games, Aiden O'Connell comes out of his shell and all of a sudden he turns into Peyton Manning 2.0 and he's putting up 400 yards a game and 7 touchdowns a game, all to Brock Bowers. Then maybe you're like, oh, wait a minute. We don't need a quarterback. We just found our quarterback. He's been with us the whole damn time. We just didn't know. So there's always that possibility. But let's be real. That's not what's going to happen. T Wood, what's going on? I go with Genty or Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter wouldn't even be available. Travis Hunter will go in my opinion, he will go third. It's going to be quarterback, third. And like if the Patriots are sitting at 3, they're taking Travis Hunter. But I would love Travis Hunter with the Raiders. In fact, Travis Hunter would love to come to the Raiders. I reported on that a week ago. And then, yeah, I guess you could go and grab Dylan Gabriel from Oregon in the second round. But man, I don't know. That's a risk that, he may not even be available by the time that we pick in the second round. Arnie says, cut Ritter and Minshew, Andre James. I definitely agree with Minshew and Andre James. Ritter, I don't know. As a backup, Ritter gives you some depth. Andre James, yeah, he's got to go. Greg, what about Jalen Milroe? Jalen Milroe is a project, and I made a video about him. I was warming up to a Jalen Milroe. And then I watched the Bama Georgia game, and I watched Georgia's defense just put the beat down on him, and he had zero answer. And again, it just could be the play calling, but they tried 100 times to make him a running quarterback in that game, and Georgia's defense was having none of it. And he just wasn't able to do anything about it. And so my worry with Jalen is the way that they played. The kid is super smart. He graduated early. He's already got his degree. So if he comes out this year, he's working on his master's right now. Super smart, very intelligent, extraordinarily athletic. Runs a 4.340. That's crazy for a running or for a quarterback. Has a rocket for an arm, but struggles at playing on platform. And again, this reminds me of an Anthony Richardson scenario. Difference between him and Anthony Richardson, however, is I would argue to say Jalen Milroe is probably 10 times smarter than Richardson. When you listen to Richardson talk and you listen to Jalen Milroe talk, the level of intelligence is obvious. Not saying that Richardson's a dummy. I'm just saying Jalen's on a whole different level of intelligence. And so he's a project. If you were to draft Jalen Milroe, you got to understand that you have to adjust your offense to a guy who has not been put in a situation to be an on-platform pocket passer. So everything with him is going to have to come off of RPOs, play actions, and design quarterback runs. Now, can you make that work? Well, Philadelphia has made it work pretty good with Jalen Hurts. So yes, that type of a quarterback can absolutely have success with any NFL team. But it worries me. It does worry me when you have Brock Bowers as the best tight end in the football, and then you go get a quarterback who is not the best passing quarterback in this draft. How is that going to affect our absolute phenom tight end, Brock Bowers, and i.e. the rest of the offense? So it would be interesting, but he would be a project. You would have to develop him, and I don't think that's going to happen in a single season. Geomax says so many quarterback camps, so many potential superstars, but yet a small percentage of players translating into NFL talent. Where is the disconnect? Well, the disconnect is that the NFL, and I've explained this before. I was watching Cam Newton's podcast, I don't know, 7-8 months ago, and he was talking about his own experience of being thrown into the fray a bit too early. And he was saying, listen, going from college to the NFL, it is almost as though you're learning a brand new language when it comes to the playbook. That's number one. The NFL playbook is 10 times bigger than it is for college quarterbacks. What the playbook that a college quarterback has to learn is this big. The playbook that a college or an NFL quarterback has to learn is this big. And so that's number one. Then number two is the timing, the amount of different plays that you play. Number three, you very rarely get wide open. I mean, I'm talking wide open. You rarely get that. You get that one or two times maybe in a game, if that, in the NFL. College, you're getting that 5, 6, 7 times a game. And then the separation between college teams. You may have an Alabama who's, always got the best recruiting in football, goes against a team that's, 2 tiers below them, and they blow them out 60-0. Well, that pads your stats. It makes you feel like you're a monster. But when you get to the NFL, everybody's the best. Even the worst team in the NFL, which unfortunately right now is us, we still have guys like Max Crosby, who is an all-world defensive end. Christian Wilkins, when he was healthy, who is a Pro Bowl defensive tackle. Even Tyree Wilson was a number 7 overall draft pick. And Clavion Chason was a former number 1 overall draft pick. Not number one overall. He was a first-round draft pick. Right? Those are the guys on your defensive line, and you're a quarterback coming out of college, and that's who you're going against. Guys like that every single week. And then you're not even talking about the secondary yet, right? So it's always you're going against the best of the best. But in college, you may go against a college team who might even be in the playoff, and they still only have 3 or 4 of their starting 11 that are going to the NFL. So you're only playing 3 or 4 of the best of the best. But when you get to the NFL, everybody's the best of the best, right? These are the guys who made it to the 1% of the 1% that make it to the NFL. And that's the disconnect. Why these quarterbacks look so good in college, then they get to the NFL and they're just complete dump. Poop the bed. Because they're not used to that level of defense in their face. Arnie, who are our weak links on our offensive line, Raider D? Parham and Meredith. Right now, I would say. Now, with that being said, I think Dylan Parham has played fairly well, but he is not a Pro Bowl guard. And I think Jordan Meredith has played pretty well. Again, not a Pro Bowl guard. So our guard position on that offensive line is, in my opinion, our weak link right now. Obviously, Colton Miller's gotten back to form, which I've said he would. He is only 28 years old. The dude had shoulder surgery and was off for an entire off season. He was going to be rusty, and he certainly was the first 4 or 5 weeks. But he's back to form. He's doing good. He's back to being Colton Miller. DJ Glaze, I'm not sold that he's going to be the long-term answer at right tackle, but he has certainly earned the starting position because he is definitely the best right tackle we have on this team right now. That's for sure. And JPJ he's a Pro Bowl caliber center already as a rookie. So I think that the Raiders need to address the guard situation this offseason. That needs to be a priority. You've got to go and get you have to have at least one serious upgrade at guard position. I don't care if it's right or left. One of those two need to be upgraded. And if we can do that, you can have one weak link at guard position because your center can always help a guard. Most of the time, a center doesn't even have anybody lined up over them. And so their job, once they snap the ball, is to assess who needs help. And depending on the run scheme, if you're running zone, if you're running power, whatever, the center is going to be able to adjust and help out that weak link. But he can't help out 2. If you have 2 weak links at guard, he can only help 1. So We need to have the guard position, at least one big upgrade there. Mumford has disappeared because Mumford is not good. That's why he's disappeared. He's just not good. He's never been good. I've never been high on him. Great guy. I'm sure he is. Certainly, probably a good, I don't know, rotational player, a backup guy, not a starter. El Salcero says, I disagree. Just because Herbert was there doesn't mean he would take him. What if they liked Jalen Hurts better? I don't know. What are you talking about? Arnie says, where's Mumford? On the sideline. Not playing. John Jarvis says Spillane's agent was in the president's suite last night. No offer yet. Yeah, they need to get that deal done. I don't know why they haven't gotten it done yet. Jake Long says Jackson Dart plays in the SEC against elite defenses. He does, but he doesn't put up elite numbers. So that's kind of my worry. He's a possibility, but again, listen, I'm telling you right now, the Raiders aren't going to win another game. God knows best, but I don't see the Raiders winning another game because there is no advantage to Antonio Pierce to win a single game. Let's just look at this from the outside in. Antonio Pierce goes 3-14. Now you don't get a quarterback. You've missed out on the number 1, number 2 overall draft picks. Do you think his job is more secure because he won that one game or less secure? I'd say it's less secure if he wins one more game. Because Mark Davis wants Shedeur Sanders. So if he messes around and wins a game, I think he gets fired that night that he wins the game. Probably not. I mean, if we win this week, he's probably not going to fire him right after that game of a victory because that would be too obvious that you were trying to tank. He'd still probably wait, but the decision would be made that he's fired. So, yeah. Excellence. Did AOC really get a true shot? I feel it's too short of a span to see what he can really be. He did get too short. I agree with that. I said that he should have been the starter from the beginning of the season, and he should have had the entire season to go. T Wood says, what's up, Raider D? I just feel like Telesco and Co. needs to draft at least one QB every draft, early, mid, or late rounds every year till we actually land our QB of the future. I don't think that would happen. I think he would get fired if he drafted a quarterback in every round of this draft. I think he'd immediately be fired. I think he'd get fired. Like if he picked Shedeur Sanders and then round 2 he picked Dylan Gabriel and then round 3 he went and picked Curtis Rourke, he'd be fired right there. We wouldn't even finish the draft. Like Mark Davis would be like, "You're fired. Get the hell out of here. What are you doing?" But I feel it though. I feel you guys. I understand. We gotta have that quarterback. Arnie, Jack Jones pick 6 wins games against the Jags. That could happen. That would suck at this point because then that guarantees us no quarterback. And Jack Jones ain't winning us any games right now. Just straight up, he is not winning us any games. Even with his pick 6 this year, it didn't win us the game. We still lost. Raider Ryan, do you think DeCamarion Richardson having to come in this year will have an effect on his growth? Same as Jacorian Bennett last year. I don't judge a corner in their first year. Corners in college who are really good get to the NFL and they get burnt because they have not faced a consistent talent level of the wide receivers in the NFL in their entire life, let alone the offensive schemes that the NFL offenses do. So just like I didn't judge Jacorian Bennett in his first year, I'm not judging DCAM in his first performances in this season. We're going to let him continue to develop. Listen, DCAM is a very good cornerback in college. He's going to need more growth and time to develop into a very good cornerback in the NFL, just like we've seen from Jacorian this year before he got hurt. So, the jury is definitely still out on DCAM. But I think him coming in this year, I think it was good for him. Just like Jacorian Bennett last year, getting the playing time that he had. I think it was good for him. Problem with Jacorian Bennett, though, is now, last year he got hurt, lost his position. This year he got hurt. Is that going to become a problem with him where he can't complete an entire season? So jury's still out on Jacorian Bennett as far as health. But as far as Jacorian Bennett improving, yeah, that dude is definitely a good corner in the NFL right now. El Cicero, only in the NFL do you win by losing and lose if you win. Yeah. Arnie, who is our most improved player this year, offense, defense? Well, I mean, if you're talking about players that we had on the team last year, I would say Jacorian Bennett was the most improved player from last year. I mean, obviously he's hurt right now, so that's an issue for him. But when he was not hurt, his improvement was night and day difference from his rookie performance last year. So I would say he was most improved on the defense. And then on offense, I would say that's a tough one, as we haven't had a lot to talk about on the offense. But I would say probably Jacoby Myers. Stepping into that role as the X receiver is a big jump for him, and he's handled it terrifically. Amazing. So much better than I thought he would. Once the trade happened with, the dude who left, I don't even want to say his name. He got the shot. He got the shot to become the X receiver. He did, and he's played very good. So I would say Jacoby Myers on offense and Jacorian Bennett on defense are my two most improved players from last year. If you want to talk about just new players, Clavion Chason is playing great football. Lulu is playing great football. Obviously, Brock Bowers is the best tight end in the NFL as a rookie, and JPJ is already a Pro Bowl caliber center. So, yeah, they definitely have improved significantly just in this season. Yulin, 24 years. Giants need to win. Yep. FU Falcons, let's go Giants. Hashtag Raider Nation. Agreed. Arnie Garza, who is the most disappointing players, offense, defense? I would say the most disappointing this year for me has been Max Crosby. And not any fault of his own. He got injured. He's been playing with a high ankle sprain since week 2. And I was really hoping he was going to hit that 20 sack mark this year. And, where is he at right now? Like 8 or 9 on the season. This is one of his worst seasons. So that really sucks. I want to see him get healthy and get back next year with a new coach, new roster, new offense that can actually put points on the board and see him go hit that 20 sack mark. And then I'd say Trey Tucker is my most disappointing player on offense. I was expecting so much more from Trey this year, and it just hasn't happened. Again, not really any fault of his own either. 3 different quarterbacks throwing the ball, offense not being able to run the ball, and offense not even utilizing him the way that he needs to be utilized. Has been disappointing. I really was hoping to see Trey Tucker took off. I made a mini documentary about Trey Tucker and why he is such a great addition to the Raiders. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. Also, if you guys want to get your gear from Fanatics, we've hooked up with them. Just go into the shopping cart right here in the live stream, and you can go and get all of your gear. They got a big sale going on over there right now, and every purchase that you make also helps the Raider D podcast. We do get a commission. Doesn't cost you anything extra. You still get your discounts that you get over there, but it just helps to support this. So please, if you're going to buy some merch from Fanatics, buy it from our channel here on every single one of our videos. You can always go into the shopping cart here on the video and go and check them out. Also, link in the description to my other channel, Black Rain Official, where we are giving away this $1,000 gift bag. This is the bag is from Eberly Stock. This is their Switchblade. I made a video on this. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. We're going to be giving this away on my other channel, Black Rain Official, which is a survival bushcraft EDC gear review channel where I go up in the mountains and I test out gear and I test out different ways of bushcrafting and survival. One of my videos, I literally slept in a snowstorm under a rock with nothing but a fire and an emergency Mylar blanket, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically just tinfoil. And I survived. So if you guys want to go check that out, link is in the description to my other channel. Just click on the link. It's the first thing right there in the description. Go show some support over there. Please, guys, we're just growing that out. We're just getting it started. We're at like 300 plus subscribers right now, trying to hit that 400 or 500 subscribers in the next couple of weeks. That would be awesome. So if you guys would go and check that out, subscribe and watch those videos, like them, comment on them, and give me ideas of how you would like to see me not die in the wilderness. I'm always open to suggestions over there. Been doing this type of stuff for a long time, so I do have a lot of experience in it. I don't recommend anybody go out into the forest, especially deep off into the forest like I do, and try this stuff without the skills. In fact, I don't recommend anybody going hiking alone. You should always go with a partner. I do this because I've been doing it for a long time and I have a lot of skill in it, and I've been trained in it. But again, I'm not recommending anybody else do that. But if you want to see me be stalked by a cougar, I have a video where I was literally being stalked by a cougar, mountain lion, which is pretty interesting. But I always have my animal spray, my animal pepper spray. They call it bear spray, but it's for all animals. So if anyone ever did come to me, well, I should be okay. Hopefully. Red Ryan says he did. I saw it. Pretty cool. Bad. Yes, Raider High. And in my last trip, I took the wrong gloves. I forgot to take my snow gloves, and I had my desert tactical gloves in the truck, fortunately. So I grabbed those, and they got wet, and that was it. That was a wrap. Blizzard storm comes in the middle of the night, and I got nothing but wet gloves. Still survived, though, and I got all my fingers. So guys, go check that out. Link is down in the description. It's a lot of fun. We're getting ready to head out in the morning to go do another one so that I can get back in time, get it edited up and everything, so that we can cover the Raiders game as well this Sunday. So appreciate each and every one of you guys spending your time with me tonight. It's been awesome. You guys encouraged me to come back and start doing lives again. So I will try to do, obviously I'll be in the mountains tomorrow, so I can't do it tomorrow. but I will try to make more regular, at least twice a week, live streams at this time that we did it tonight, because it seems like that's kind of the sweet spot where everybody's more available to jump on live and hang out with me. So I will see you guys in the next video. Until next time, you know how we end these live streams. Say it with me wherever you are in the world. Raiders just win, baby. Y'all have a good night.